Give domain of f of x equals square root of 2x plus 5 in interval notation. So remember, domain means the restrictions on what your x inside of the function can be. A lot of functions don't have any restrictions. In that case, your domain is from negative infinity to infinity. The typical functions that will have restrictions on the x inside of those functions are rational, and that is where x is present in the denominator of a fraction, and also square root functions, and that is where x is present under the square root. If you're facing one of these two functions, either rational or square root, your domain will not be from negative infinity to infinity. Clearly, our function f of x contains a square root with an x under the square root, so there will be some restrictions on the x that is plugged into this function. It's actually very simple to find a domain when you have a square root function. All you have to do is take whatever is under the square root. In our case, it's 2x plus 5, and solve the inequality 2x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 0. The reason for that is simple. Whatever is under the square root, the 2x plus 5 here, cannot be negative. Because if you have a negative under the square root, then you have to deal with imaginary units, and you cannot graph those functions on the regular coordinate plane. So you have to make sure that whatever is under the square root is greater than or equal to 0. So we solve this simple inequality. We subtract the 5, which leaves us with 2x is greater than or equal to negative 5. And then we divide both sides by 2, which leaves us with x is greater than or equal to negative 5 over 2. All that's left to do is to write this inequality statement in interval notation, which is what we were asked for in interval notation. X is greater than or equal to negative 5 over 2 will be written as from negative 5 over 2 all the way to positive infinity. Notice that 5 over 2 got a bracket because of the greater than or equal to. And infinities never get brackets, always parentheses. And now you're done. This is your domain in interval notation.